What's going on, beautiful people? It is I, your flying locomotive, and faster than a speeding bullet SuperCliff, coming at you live with a brand new video. And for today's majestic and fantastic video, we are back at it with Action Comics, issue number 1050. But before we continue on with everything Superman and Action Comics related, if you are new to the channel, then smash that like and subscribe button. That way you guys never miss out on anything that happens on this majestic channel. And because we managed to cross over 1,000 subs, let's raise the bar and go full on Super Saiyan as we try to get 15 more subs before the end of 2022. So yeah, don't be rude, it's free folks. It's the price of admission. Don't be a nerd, show some class. Hit that subscribe button. Thus, without further ado, let's dive into everything that is action with Action Comics, issue number 1050. Our story starts off with Manchester Black waking up in a dark and nefarious lab, and overseeing him awake is Metropolis's baldest man, Lex Luthor. Now remember, back in the previous issue, we learned that Black was actually spying on Clark during the entirety of the Warworld saga, and he was spying for Lex Luthor. But upon freeing Warworld, I guess you could say that Black grew a heart, and so after telling Lex that he's done working for him, Lex didn't take no for an answer, and so he knocked him out, and now Black is strapped to a chair with hundreds of wires injected into his head. From there, Luthor pulls a lever, and we see the pain, the torment that Black is currently having to undergo, for all the wires in his head are connected to a machine, and seemingly Black's power, his telekinesis, are essentially being amplified across the globe. Literally a purple layer of energy is wrapping around the earth. However, we don't see anything happen. Whether you're in Tokyo, Japan, Melbourne, Australia, or Jamaica, everything seems to be normal, including over in Smallville at the Kent farm, where the Kent family are prepping up for a delicious dinner. Now, this is where things start to get funky, because once Perry White shows up and hellos and whatnot are made, that's when Clark and Jon in their Superman costumes enter the scene. But Perry is shown confused because he doesn't understand why Superman of all places is here for dinner. Now, this is weird given the fact that Superman already revealed his identity back in the Bendix era, so there really shouldn't be any confusion. And after reminding Perry that he's Superman, Perry drops his bottle of wine and is seemingly having some heart failure. Later on, after Superman rushes Perry to the hospital, it's revealed that he had a stroke upon seeing that Clark and Superman are one and the same. And so while the doctors are taking care of him, Clark and Lois meanwhile are trying to figure out why did Perry forget who Clark was. But before anything can be said, a loud annoying signal blares off, one which Clark is the only one who can hear, and so he immediately takes off, for Superman knows exactly where the signal source is coming from, to which we then see the Man of Steel fly over to confront Lex Luthor. Now it's here where Lex admits that he's had somewhat of a revelation, and basically, what he's come to learn is that the world needs Superman. However, if that's the case, then Lex wants Clark to be a Superman, one who's on LexCorp payroll, one who he can control. However, there must also be sacrifices, for Lex is in the mindset that the world needs to view Superman as a god. Therefore, the world cannot know that Superman is Clark Kent, and thus it is revealed that with tech he gathered from Warworld and from Henry Bendix's superhuman experiments over in the Son of El comic, he created a machine that could reach the full potential of amplifying Manchester Black's power. Basically, Lex Luthor, he used his powers to erase everyone's knowledge that Clark Kent is Superman. And honestly, I can't help but not think when writing this, Johnson had one more day in mind. Because right after this, Lex suits up and the dude straight up tells Clark that he's lucky that I let you keep your marriage. Like, hot damn, son. Shots fired. And alas, the limits are pushed, and both Superman and Lex Luthor begin to duke it out. They exchange punches in the streets, in the sky, only for them to eventually take the fight to the moon. Now it's here where Superman demands to know where Manchester Black is, because he wants things to go back to the way they were. But Lex reveals that Black is dead. But not only that, but I also had him spy on you. He helped me gather the supplies I needed in order to activate Project Blackout. And in addition to that, Lex also has access to Warworld technology. However, though Lex may have upgrades at his disposal, so too does Clark, for he has been embedded with the fire of Ulgrim. He showcases his new powers, and after stripping away Lex's power suit, the Man of Steel sends him to prison. He sends him to Stryker's Island. After battle, we pick up in Gotham, where Superman is having a conversation with Batman. Now, fortunately, what we come to learn is that thanks to Martian Manhunter's psychic defenses, all the superheroes, members of the Justice League and the Titans, and those present at the Kent farm during the telepathic attack, are still aware of who Clark is. But everyone else no longer recognizes Superman as Clark Kent. And once more, in the eyes of the public, Superman and Clark are two different people. Now, Superman doesn't really know on how to feel about this, but Batman does, and he tells him that, this might not be a bad thing. And let's be honest, bro, you were kind of an idiot to reveal your identity in the first place. So maybe take this as a second chance to not be a fucking idiot. Regardless though, Clark can't help but wonder what Jonathan is feeling from this, to which we then see how Jon is handling this. And it's quite apparent that he's actually very happy about it. Dude is no longer in the public eye. Rather than being seen as Superman's son, he's simply Jon Kent. Afterwards, we pop up somewhere in the multiverse, and it's here we see a deceased version of Superman. But according to the speaker, apparently everywhere in the multiverse, Kal-El's keep popping up dead. Therefore, because they can't risk involving another dimension's Kal-El, they need his son. Val-Zod needs the help of Jonathan Kent. And elsewhere in Metropolis, John Corbin wakes up following his surgery, and he finds himself waking up in a new body. He's got new skin, muscles. Metallo is back, baby. And Lex via hologram, since he's in prison, tells him to remind Superman on whose city this is, and to remind him how far Lex Luthor is willing to go to keep it such. And that, folks, was the end of Action Comics, issue number 1050. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly, truly means the world to me. So yeah, this issue was awesome. And a lot like many of the issues coming out of DC this week, this too was also somewhat of a palate cleanser for the Superman stories this year. The issue also sets up for what's to come in the future, specifically, of course, 2023. And honestly, I'm excited for what's to come. I didn't mind Superman being gone for a year. As an avid comic book reader, I don't mind change, but whenever comics go away from the status quo and they try something different for a bit, only to come back, in this case, Clark living in Metropolis, reporter for the Daily Planet, his identity intact, there's just this sense of joy that I feel, and I'm just very excited heading into 2023. Plus, when it comes to Philip Kennedy Johnson's future on Action Comics, I'm super down for Metallo. But at the same time, I'm also very scared for what's to happen because Metallo's in his new body and the man looks terrifying. Like, the dude looks like he's gonna wreck people up. And typically, I'm not a fan when characters in comics have their identities forgotten. For me, it just comes off as lazy. It also suggests that, whenever this sort of thing happens, it's usually because of a mandate. Editorial wants to move a character in a, different direction than perhaps the writer would. Spider-Man making a deal with Mephisto is a perfect example. But when it comes to this issue, you actually feel the loss Clark is feeling, and you kind of sympathize with him. Philip Kennedy Johnson handled the action and the response to this very well, and in my opinion, that's what should happen. The whole truth guilt Clark was having under the Bendis era was pretty stupid. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. It kind of felt like a gimmick, and for Lex to be the person to take that away from him, it's pretty spot on for his villainous character. Overall, this issue was great. It's definitely a fantastic ending for Superman for 2022, but it also sets up a lot of new stuff for DC that's, coming down the pipeline. We got a lot more PKJ on Action Comics. Tom Taylor's bringing back Blue Superman, and we have the new Superman series starting in February from Joshua Williamson. Basically, if you're a Superman fan, this is your year to shine. So yeah, as always, I'm your majestic say over at SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for issue number 1051? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace. Giggity goo.